Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, please like the video, subscribe, follow the Instagram, and like the Facebook page. We're going to do a review of the Holt Morpheus. This guy right here. Before we're going to get into the review though, let's do some size comparisons. This is not a big guy at all. Let's do some ones that everybody knows. This is the 940. As you can tell, this is a top-down view. There's no angle to the camera, so it doesn't matter which one's top or bottom, so that kind of tells you it is smaller than the 940, which means it's also smaller than your Spyderco Shaman. Now, these are completely different price points, so here's something more in that price range. The Strider S&G, there you go, smaller than your S&Gs out there. If you were curious, now you know. Handura XM18, 3.5 inch. There you go. And let's do the Holt Spectre, which is probably more of what people are wanting for a size comparison. There you go. It's slightly smaller than a Spectre. And it is slightly smaller than the Renegade. Renegade's about the same size as a Spectre. That review will be coming out later. I have a lot to say about this guy. All good things. But yeah, okay. So this is a 3.5 inch blade. You're talking from here out 3.5 inches, which is the, hold on, give me a second. I'm trying to make sure there's no speck of dust on that blade. It's near mirror polished. It's very nice. It's definitely what's the word for it? The smallest I'd normally go. I rarely go smaller than 3.5 inch. A 3.5 inch blade I have before, but I don't normally. 3.25 is probably the smallest I will go typically. Unless it's a really cool design, then fine. But one thing that I love that Holt does is they put the blade steel right at the top right there. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully the camera actually. But they didn't. Oh, and we're centered, by the way. If you were curious, they're always ballsy in putting that that U divot there. They always sound. The action is always fantastic. This is a straightforward design. Always love that they keep their blades within the handle, so it's super sleek. Ergonomics are great. That's just how it is. Jimping is not aggressive, but also very usable. Jimping back here, I mean, not really needed. This is not a knife you would do this with. Unless you're just pushing stuff through cardboard like that. But then you could just do this. The blade in general is beautiful. That's just, I mean, yeah. No issue with lockup. One thing, the best way to test lockup is constant pressure. Not a hard impact, but constant pressure. So if you push against the spine and force constant pressure and it doesn't fail, that's the most likely scenario that you're actually going to have a possible lock fail with a folder. If you are at all putting a quick, hard hit to the spine of your blade on a folder, you're using it wrong. Just flat out. You should never come across that ever. Even when you're digging or doing this or that, you should never come across that ever. You just, unless you're deliberately hitting the spine forcefully. But when you're pulling it out and you're doing this with it for whatever reason, and you're pushing against the spine, you're not hitting against the spine, you're pushing against the spine. So if you push against the spine and it doesn't fail, you're good. Like, you should not ever have a problem with it. The spine whack test, which I can do, that is all you should need. You should never try testing it any harder than that, because if you are, then you're using it wrong. You should not baton with the folder. There you go. That's it. It goes with any folder. Any folder. That's just abuse at that point. And in fact, if you do decide to actually hit the spine, best way to do it is actually disengage any lock, whatever lock it is, except for maybe the triad lock or the shark lock. You might be able to get away with it there. Is go like disengage the lock and then baton with it. Then you'll be fine. You won't be hurting the lock at all. You'll be just using literally the steel of the blade to get through whatever material it is. Simple way to make sure you don't break your knife while actually getting what you need done. This is also too small of a blade to be doing that with anyways. This is a liner lock. I personally am not a huge fan of liner locks. I think they're less reliable, more prone to failure. But the size of this knife and what Holt are designed to do are long, extended cutting. Not chopping. Nothing that's actually going to require more than a liner lock. Holts are up there with Shearer-Gorovs and Koenigs and stuff like that. They're super high quality with insane milling and insane attention to detail, with their back lining up with that, their flipper lining up with that, being flat all the way around. Like the attention to detail, and then obviously the step pattern that they have going here with the clip and the body of this. They're hard to beat. When it comes to American-made knives, folding knives, and this might hurt someone's feelings out there, I think they're the best in the business when it comes to American-made knives. But here's the thing. They're not production. They're mid-tech, so they're a different tier than most of your production-made knives. They're a different tier than most other American-made knives you're going to get. They're better than Hendra. They're going to be better than most Striders. Unless you get a custom Strider, that's different, though, because you get... Let's see. You get a solid production knife. This is a higher end production knife. Okay, mid-tech, and then you have a custom, which is one in my pocket, but you get customs. That's the normal tier that you see out there. You get production, mid-tech, then custom. Now these are right in line of being custom. They're pretty close, not quite there, but so they're going to be a different level of quality than your production knives. There might be lower quality than your customs, especially the high-end customs with extreme detail that do take quite some time to get a hold of. But these also aren't easy to get a hold of either. Again, you get great action, great flipper tab, not super big, not obnoxious, nothing like that. Very similar to the Holt Spectre. Definitely better than some other flippers I know of. It's better than a lot of flippers actually I own myself. But with the blade shape, hollow grind, it's starting all the way up here, super thin behind the edge, and a mirror polish or near mirror polish, so it helps out with drag. This is a fantastic slicer and a really, really, really thin tip. Obnoxiously thin, some would say. One you would not want to pry with or against. It's a slicer. This is a great daily use slicer. I mean, there's not much I can really add to it. These are high quality. You're not going to be upset with the quality you get with this. Quality inside and out, like through and through. When it comes to the details of just the milling and the details of the screws, the details of the pocket clip, the details of all the lines matching up, the detail, the detent, which you can adjust on this, by the way. There's a little Allen right in here. Right there, yep, right there. That you can adjust and change the detent, whether you want it softer or harder. That's up to you. Again, you have Holt's lipped detent, what they've been doing for a long time. So Sharp by Design is not the only one that does that kind of detent. I hate when people act like they're the only one when they're not. Holt does it too. In fact, I would argue that Holt does it better. But that's a whole discussion that I will definitely stand by, because I've held and handled both in multiple variants, multiple situations, and that is better. Can do that all day. But great ergonomics, chipping works, super good and slicey blade. Yeah, so for cutting constantly all the time, it's a great blade. It will not disappoint. It makes slicing easy, always, and for a really, really long time, and your hands won't get tired. And you really don't need a bigger blade than this, honestly, in that scenario. You just don't. I do recommend the Holt Morpheus 100%. These are in the the 800 and up range, depending on how decked out you get them. So anywhere and they can get up in the couple grand, depending on if you get a Damascus blade, if you get a Damascus clip, this and this, and like there's all sorts of stuff that you can get. But is it better than the Spectre? I'm gonna say no, because I like a larger knife personally. Do I like this more than my Arius? Yes, I do. And in all honesty, I like the action better. I like the feel better, and I like the look better. So, I like my Arius though, don't get me wrong. But Holt is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, American brand maker. So I'm trying, obviously, not to be biased, but their knives are fantastic. Some people don't like the drop shotness, but that's kind of why you can adjust the detent. You can adjust the action, so you don't have to have it as drop shotty. You can have it more controlled if you want to. I just personally like this action a lot. But I mean, besides that, there's not really much else I can add. But yeah, if you're looking for a high quality mid-tech American made knife that is a great slicer and will last you forever, the Morpheus is fantastic. I would highly recommend it. And that's really going to be it for this video. Please like the video, please subscribe, follow Instagram, and like the Facebook page, and I will see you guys in the next one.